Welcome to Just Roll It Already. I'm your host, Daryl,
This is Jeremiah.
and with us again is Mike.
Yep, ready to go.
Okay, today we are doing a Let's Look at Pathfinder the Advanced Race Guide by Paizo Publishing. So, what are you guys' thoughts on looking at this?
An amazing supplement to an amazing game.
What about you, Mike?
To be honest with you, I'm looking through this. Not just the fact that it's a supplement and it's amazing in that regard, but the artistry throughout the book is quite considerably good.
You were eyeballing the Drider earlier.
Yeah, you mean the Druger?
Oh, the
Both.
Druder. The Druder. Yeah,
Both.
Druder and Drider.
Oh, Druger and Drider.
A Druder Drider.
Both favorites.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I'd hate to see that one. Which is kind of funny about this game too, because you could build your own races, and maybe you could do a combination of the Druger Drider.
Yeah, definitely
The
adds.
real D&D.
Actually, how much? That's actually yes, the real D&D. Actually, how much? How
Pathfinder.
many more races does it actually add to the game? Check that. Go to the.
Well, these races have been here the all time, but there's more in the lines of how to play them better and kind of look at them in a different context.
Also to stat them. Some people might not know how to stat
I know
them.
that they have several chapters, like the base races and the core races, but then they also have the uncommon races and the what else kind of races things in there?
Featured and uncommon.
There's a featured and uncommon.
Okay.
There's about 17, it looks like, added uncommon races to go with the featured.
Okay. So, overall, what do you guys think when you look through this thing?
Potential of changing up a traditional fantasy game. Why go human, elf, dwarf when you could go like tiefling, oread, and kitson?
Yeah, but also I think look at this book, and I think all the time that you could theoretically run a pretty diverse mono race game, because when you take a look at just the base of a race without any racial differences or so on, you kind of come up with the new concepts here and there that actually enhance the game quite a bit.
Like you earlier this year, you did a mono goblin campaign.
Yeah, that was kind of a play on a comic that was around, but actually we were all the same kind of thing. But if I was to ever do that in more of a serious, longer game with a more roundabout story, I'd probably use this book to kind of give some major differences. I mean, I know there's other supplements out there, and there's tons of contextual material that are more focused on goblins, but this, if you're wanting to kind of bring a tweak to something different, this is a great book.
Actually, I think goblin is in there, but there's also other supplements though too that do goblins. Like We Are Goblins, I think is a book. So
Yeah, We Are Goblins is a supplement for the Glorian Pathfinder
exactly.
world.
Yeah.
Now, I myself found that I really like the race builder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go into the race builder a little bit better for us.
Well, the race builder itself is actually based on a race point system. You can earn certain amounts of race points and then apply them to gaining new traits as you're building the class. Or not the class, the race.
Okay. So, based on the type of race you're creating, for example, everyone makes their own world or their own race in a world, or the game master decides to build their own races. So what they can do is bring up this thing saying, I want this amount of points for this level of CR creature, or is it based on CR?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up. There actually is there's actually a range based from a standard, which is 1 to 10 RP points, which gives you 3 traits, advanced, which is 11 to 20 RP range with 4 traits, and then monstrous, which is your 20 plus RP range, and then 5 traits with that particular feature.
So these traits are all together in this book. You slap them together, you suddenly make yourself a new race of the Drug Drider, and then you run a game all based on that?
Yes, really big spider with hammer. Run.
Actually,
With 120 dark vision.
You know what I actually see the potential for this for? Not making new races, but making monsters for players to fight against. Have your players fight the Druder Drider. Actually, I mean, that could be used to actually make monsters, like encounters, actually, like custom-made encounters for your players.
Yeah, then the people don't have to sit there and look at it saying, oh, it's another
Goblin.
Yeah. This is a 1/3 CR creature that is easily squished with one good hit. Oh, we don't have to worry about it. As opposed to suddenly have a fire-breathing goblin with wings that shoots laser beams out of its eyes.
Exactly.
Also, run.
Yes, run. Please, run.
Fire.
Yes, fire everywhere. Stop.
As was also brought up before with the Goblin campaign from earlier this year. Building a race, or even going with the Drider, and going with their perspectives and basing your campaign on that, it just adds a lot of spice, I think.
True. So is there anything else about this book that you actually see when you guys flip through it? You guys get any ideas? Because I have not yet used this book in my campaigns or any of it whatsoever. I looked at it and I got ideas to kind of kick things up a notch, but I know that they mess around with the base races, and I know that there's a racial different archetypes, quote unquote archetypes, I guess you can call them, or sorry, not archetypes, racial traits.
They add racial feats, which can add a whole new level to what you pick for feats.
Yeah, there's certain things that an elf can do that a human can, or a gnome can do, a dwarf can, or even a kitsune can do that a tengu can't. This whole book alone is very well done. I like the layout, and it seems to focus mainly on saying, like, in the beginning, in the front of it, you have the everyman's kitchen sink style of races of the elves, dwarves, and so on, and then you kind of move on to the second most played, and then finally you just get more and more obscure the further you get back, to the point that people building their own races.
Yeah, and also if you're not the kind of person who can, like, use the formulas and go about the point-buy system of making a race, to those DMs out there, those buddying DMs, you don't technically just have to make a race, or, if you want to do custom races for your world, you could also try just reskinning a race. Like, I've, for example, taken things like, I've taken Dwarf and reskinned it so my gnomes are more like dwarves, but I just use the stats for dwarves, but the look of a gnome. That's things you can do,
There's another thing that you just said that kind of gave me an idea when looking through this book. You could take this race, you swap around a few traits, and then suddenly you rename it something else, and suddenly you have an entirely new race if you want to do a little bit of a cheating. But for the most part, we're looking at this for this product, and I like it. You guys' thoughts on it?
Well, I would have to say with this particular product, it goes past the point of campaigns. Let's say long past when this game is around necessarily, the company might decide to go with a different variant.
Well, eventually, but
we've seen this in other businesses like D&D, for example. Going to different. You're not handcuffed to that new style of gameplay. You have something that you can go back and ultimately work with and create new things that you don't need publishers to come out with for you.
3.5 still heading strong. Huh?
Yeah, well, 3.5 has been changed into Pathfinder, and everyone knows that. And this conversation was done to death.
Oh, bloody hell, yes, it has.
So,
however, my thoughts on this book, it is a must for a Pathfinder collection, as it supplements any campaign just thoroughly. It's a really great addition, especially with the racial feats.
Now and in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Jeremiah, because when I eventually start running another campaign of Pathfinder, I probably will be throwing this out and say, okay, guys, you can use this and this. Don't use this.
Yeah, this race is horrifically broken. Don't choose this.
Don't do this.
Everything else is fine.
Okay, any closing thoughts on your part, Mike?
I just feel that it's a very well pieced together book, and it has a great amount of longevity to it.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of Let's Look At. If there's anything else you'd like to see us talk about, please comment below, and thank you for listening. Have a good day.